ad has been responsible for some of the highest ROIs in our account recently, and I've never talked about it on this channel. I am so surprised that this creative strategy works because it looks like shit and most brands don't want to try it. This is actually a landing page creative strategy that I'm recommending brands to try right now. What's up, marketers? In today's video, we are going to be going over some new ad creative strategies that I have never shared before on this channel. I have several of these videos, but you seem to enjoy them and I really enjoy making them. So I am going to be showing you 5 new ad creatives that we are testing right now in our accounts over at Thesis. And I'm also gonna highlight the ones that y'all need to test because so number 1 are the news clips or podcast interview ads. Now, what is so interesting about this strategy is half the time we are literally just taking brands who have been featured on the news or podcast interviews that have been conducted with the founder and doing very little editing and just putting them on the ad platforms. And I am so surprised. I've seen this work particularly well for brands that are serving the 50+ demographic. And I think the reason why that is because that demographic has more trust in the news and is actually going to sit down and potentially watch a 3-minute ad. So, you know, we've actually seen many brands find success with this type of ad strategy. And there are even a few brands where we've recreated this type of strategy, even if they didn't have any more news clips. So it really is something that I think is interesting that we're starting to see more of. And a little bit of a lower fi version is if you happen to go on a video podcast or your founder happened to go on a video podcast, this is something that we've also seen work equally as well. And I really think part of the reason why this works is because you're able to really provide a lot of upfront education and value to potential customers, maybe in a way that a super direct response ad wouldn't. I think that this is a really unique and different type of ad strategy, and I'd really recommend brands that if you have already those news clips or those podcast interviews available, this is something that you should definitely go ahead and try. And if it works really well, then hire Thesis to make a new one for you. Number 2 is something that I'm actually starting to test out with a few new clients, and it is very similar to the news clip ad, which is the interview on the street ad. Now, it's interesting. This is definitely a TikTok style trend that I've seen starting to transfer over to being a little bit more of a mainstream type of ad strategy. And I think really what is happening here is it's kind of like the TikTok response bubble style of ad. So you're able to ask people questions who may or may not be complete strangers on the street and get these really unique and authentic type of responses back. And I feel like this is something that is, you know, potentially on the cheaper side too, which is kind of interesting. You can literally just send your founder or someone from your brand out into the street and ask people questions that have to deal with your brand or the problem that your brand services. It's definitely something that I think is out of a lot of brands' comfort zones, but I think it is really unique and it's something that we're starting to try at Thesis a little bit more. So if you have a brand or a product that is really servicing Gen Z or a specific niche that is already seeing this type of ad creative strategy out in the wild on organic social, this is something that I would go ahead and give a try. Number 3, this is actually the ad that is responsible for tons of ROI and performance over at Thesis right now. And it is so dead simple. I almost feel a little embarrassed to like tell you what it is, but it is a statistics-based ad. Now, you might be sitting back there and thinking, this is really similar to a features point out ad or to a press screenshot ad. It is literally so dead simple. Yeah, this is another one of those ads that we're now starting to put into rotation. And I'm not kidding. There have been multiple brands over multiple verticals that I've used this ad strategy with recently, and it's been the top performer. So I'm talking about brands that are servicing demos 45+. I'm talking about brands that are more makeup servicing Gen Z. There's a really wide range of industries that this could really work for. And what I found too is you really have to use your statistics to, number 1, speak to the results that your product is creating. So I've also tested it where we tried speaking more to the problem that these brands are trying to service, like, 1 in 3 people have, you know, problems with their hair in the summer or whatever. But really you should be doing something more results focused, like 97% of users found that this shampoo made their hair shinier or something. This is really a must-try ad. It is the must-try ad of the season, if I do say so myself. And I know it's simple, so. Number 4 is one that I've just seen popping up more and more recently, and I'm starting to test it on a few brands, so it's not a full fully baked recommendation yet from Dara Denny, but it is the fake search ad. Now, really the whole strategy guiding this is that you're trying to think of the problem that your user is trying to find solutions for in the way that they would search for it in Google or in some other search browser. This is actually probably a cool one that if you're like doing something that's super Gen Z focused, to try searching up on TikTok and then leading to a TikTok about your brand. That is a free idea. I literally just came up with that on the spot. So try it and let me know how it goes. But really, I've seen this pop up in a few different places with a few different brands recently, and I'm like, maybe I should try that. Have any of these ad strategies sounded interesting to you guys yet? Let me know in the comments below. I'm always really interested to hear from you guys which ad strategies you're gonna try creating from my videos. And it's so cool, sometimes I actually see them out in the wild, so it's awesome to like have it come full circle to like recommend these on my channel and then have them show up on my own social feed. This happened with the Post-it note ad. I just feel like after I launched that video, I saw tons and tons of Post-it note ads. So I'm very curious about what I'm gonna see from you guys next. Now, the fifth one, I often get a lot of pushback when I show this ad strategy to brands because I think that they don't like the way that it looks. They think it looks kind of crappy, but I've seen it work on multiple brands recently, and the strategy is actually something I've talked about before. It's, you know, from the perspective of a founder, so a founder's based ad. But this founder's ad is very simple and actually what I like to consider the gateway to the founder's ad, which is really just a founder's slideshow ad. So if you've ever wanted to try a founder's based strategy, but you didn't want to pay a huge production company to create a very big production about you and do something more interview style, this is something that I found that is way more palatable and way more easier to get founders to want to commit to.
When I was younger, I had the worst period cramps. Like, they were so painful, I would have to miss school, I would have to miss work. So I started taking painkillers, but they turned out to be not so good for me. I ended up with really bad side effects, and I had to find a better alternative. I teamed up with my friend Courtney, who's a dietitian, and we created this beautiful little miracle called Cramp Aid. It is packed with natural anti-inflammatories, antispasmodics, so you can get fast relief while also supporting your menstrual health. We built a whole brand called Balloon.
But some of them don't like the way that it looks and feels like it's a little lo-fi. Others love it, so it's really like up to the founder. But this is an ad strategy that if you're just starting off with your ad account and you're maybe a founder running your own ad account, this is one that I would hire a video editor to create for like $100 or something. It's pretty easy for video editors to make these, and really you just have to provide those upfront assets, develop a little bit of a storyline from yourself as a founder, and then yeah, that's pretty easy to put together. And I've actually seen accounts scale quite a bit with this, so this is something that I would definitely try. And if you find traction coming out of something like this, then this just gives you more of a directional learning, like, oh, okay, so maybe I should try a UGC style founder's ad, and if that works, then maybe I should invest in a studio shoot. There are certain guideposts and pillars that you can use when developing your creative testing roadmap. Oops, my camera just died. Anyways, this one provides a really good like totem pole of creative strategy. You know, work yourself up before investing in something that's wild or doesn't feel good. I really like being able to provide to my clients and to you guys little guideposts and little step-by-step creative testing methodologies, and this is a good one. Start off with the founder slideshow ad, then do a founder UGC ad, and if you really love it and really want to scale, do a in-person founder style studio shoot. I've seen those slam, but I've already talked about those on this channel. Now, the last one that I want to talk about is actually a creative to landing page strategy that I've seen recently, and I'm recommending to a few clients to actually test, which is a press ad, which I've definitely talked about on this channel. But what I've seen actually a few brands doing recently is that they're taking this press ad and then pairing it with a press focused type of landing page, like this one from Otherland. Now, I thought that this was super interesting, and as a user, it actually made tons of sense to me, because I sometimes think that when users see these press strategies and they click on the ad and it's not actually going to that press unit, that's kind of confusing. Now, this also opens up a larger discussion of, oh, do my creatives and landing pages need to match? Is that a rabbit hole I need to go down? Not really, no. I have tested tons of different landing pages with tons of different creatives, and that juice of matching the creative with the landing pages is generally never worth the squeeze. But in the case of a press ad, I do think it's kind of interesting. I just don't know how scalable it is. But I know that you guys wanted more landing page suggestions or strategies to try. And, you know, outside of the landing page video that I did for you guys, to be honest, at Thesis, we don't really test too many other templates. So I thought that this press focused template and strategy from Otherland was actually pretty interesting and something that I wanted to share with you. And that is it. If you got any value from this video, please be sure to give me a like or subscribe. Those actions are free and they mean a lot. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks, bye.